So it's been a really long year. 2024 was a year that I will look back on and think about. One of the most pivotal, life changing, life altering, but also definitive, confidence building years that I've ever had in my whole life. So let's talk about it. So, just in case you're a little new to my channel or my page or any of my social media accounts, my name is Jeremy Whitaker. I am a 30-year-old worship leader, singer, musician, music producer, songwriter, band director, keys player, etc., etc., etc. And every once in a while, I'll get on this channel or social media account and give a little bit of an update about my life, where me and my wife are, where we're going next, what we're doing right now. And if we rewind a little bit to January of this year, we were in a very, 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 very different place than we are right now. In January of 2024, my wife and I were still in Kansas City, Missouri. I personally was still on staff of the International House of Prayer in Kansas City and serving as the director of the Forerunner School of Worship. I was also a worship leader, singer, and musician in the IHOP KC prayer room. And I was also serving on the worship teams with Forerunner Church and a few other churches in Kansas City. But the Forerunner School of Worship role was my kind of primary focus, primary occupation in January. Now, if you've been following along with our journey this year, and then if you've been following along kind of, the body of Christ at large this year, you would know that there is an incredible shifting that's taking place and has been taking place. I would think, beyond our situation with IHOP KC, even before that, maybe about a year and a half of just shaking, a lot of revealing of some things, a lot of the truth being known, God speaking on behalf of victims, and a great shifting in the church and the voice of the Lord really speaking very clearly about what he will and won't tolerate in the body of Christ, especially from its leadership, who are called to an extremely high standard as laid out in the book of James, as well as 1st and 2nd Timothy, the Corinthians books. Pretty much every biblical standard he's actually laying out right now, and we're seeing a really good view and a really good look on what it looks like for the Lord to clean his house and sanctify it once again. And IHOP KC was at that time no stranger to that concept. In October of 2023, some very shocking truths came about the founder of the International House of Prayer in Kansas City that were shocking, really horrifying, really disheartening, and started formulating a lot of questions throughout the staff and the student body at the International House of Prayer, as well as the International House of Prayer University, which is where I was serving with the Forerunner School of Worship. Now, in the theater of the mind, really quickly, imagine not just finding out some of these truths, but then also having to, in the middle of the shock and the horrifying nature of that season of life, also having to do your job and not just pastor and disciple people, but also pastor and disciple yourself, look to the Lord, be stretched as far as you could go pastorally, and also reach out and look for help for yourself and for me and my wife. And that's kind of where January through April and May of this year, really, that's where we found ourselves, was in this kind of heavy situation of wondering what's going to happen, and then even asking some deeper questions about what does it look like for us to partake in the International House of Prayer going forward, and what does that look like? Now, I've done a few videos kind of going through the decision-making process, and I'll link some of those in the description or up in the corner over here. I'm not going to rehash all that. Those decisions were made, and we're sticking by them and to them. But to a very quick recap, in June of this year, my wife and I decided not just to step away from the International House of Prayer in Kansas City, but also what further came down the line throughout the year was to step away from Kansas City. I was actively looking for work in Kansas City because I love that place so much. I have such a fondness being there for 12 years, and my wife also growing up there for a period of time, and then by that time having been there for 4 years as well herself. We have such fondness for Missouri and for Kansas City. we were pretty hesitant to leave all of that, all of our friends, all of our community, our family. But like I said in the beginning of this video, it was not just a shifting year, but a year of confidence and a year of what we believe to be a firm word of the Lord over our next season of life. So after a series of interviews, trips to certain locations, one very specific job opportunity, and beyond the job opportunity, the opportunity to build a rooted foundation and to align ourselves not just with people of similar values, similar culture, similar mindsets, but also to align ourselves with a community of believers that still believes in worshiping and praying together, which was kind of at the peak of our value set, as well as a place where we could heal and a place where we could go to therapy and find people that would not just care for us, but lean in with us and take us under their wing in prayer. We found that in Kalamazoo, Michigan, at Radiant Church, Kalamazoo. And I went through a series of interviews. We visited for the first time in September rather. And then once we kind of got down to the brass tacks of the situation, we weighed everything out, not just the optics of the job and the logistics, like the pay and whatnot, but outside of that, is this a place we can not just see ourselves long term, but raising and building a family? And I think one of the last things was really crucial. Could we find a community here that will surround us? And we firmly believe, and even within our first month of being here, that we have found that. And we're so delighted to be here in Kalamazoo, Michigan. So in late October, once an offer came in from Radiant Kalamazoo, I accepted officially in late October a position with Radiant Kalamazoo's Richland campus, which is a city just to the northeast of downtown Kalamazoo, serving as their music and band director, but then also having responsibility with their prayer room that is a part of their central downtown location, as well as serving with something that I feel is not just really exciting, but I actually feel is a huge answer to prayer, which is the Radiant School of Ministry. They have students that are not just seeking biblical understanding and theological literacy, but are also looking for a heart of worship in the process and being pushed, not just what they believe, but being given real life experience into a ministry environment, which is Radiant Kalamazoo. So I find myself being intertwined once again with a ministry that not just prioritizes corporate worship and corporate prayer, but is also exercising what I believe to be, and from the offset, coming from a season like we have, one of the biggest values is, do I trust people here? Do I understand what I'm getting into? There was a timidity somewhat about becoming tied once again and partnering with and forwarding the goals of a relatively large and well-known ministry, and the Lord really spoke so clearly about the safety that we would experience here. And so we feel, not just from the Lord, but have experienced so far in just the simple 3.5 weeks that we've lived here, but also in the preceding months, how the level of care, the level of investment from really everyone from their leadership team at Radiant Church all the way through to their eldership, to my pastor, who I now have a direct pastor who is directly over me, as well as my wonderful authority, which is my bosses, the police force. No, I'm kidding. Everything from that all the way to people I've played with in the prayer room and people I've played with on Sunday mornings so far. There's a level of care here that I actually really don't know if I've really experienced a ton of in my entire adult ministry life. And there's nothing that really opens your eyes to something like experiencing something, not for the first time, but in a authoritative way, that makes you better at your job. I don't know how to say that. That makes you feel confidence about what you're doing. That makes you feel confidence about the moves and the steps that you're taking. And Michaela and I feel confident that we're in the right place. We feel confident that we're walking in the will of the Lord, and we feel confident that He is watching us and taking care of us. And I think that's the biggest thing that could culminate out of 2024 is we are walking with confidence, which I want to acknowledge the prayers of everyone who's watched these little update videos, as weak and as not well spoken as some of them have been, and how some of them have been based out of frustration and hurt. I just want to say thank you so much from me and my wife for how the social media community, YouTube community, Instagram community, or whatever have covered me and my wife in prayer. We feel so seen, heard, loved, appreciated, cared for, pastorally cared for in this time. And we are so grateful, so thankful for where we are now. And so that's, guys, that's pretty much it. Other than I did produce, I think, the most music I've ever produced in one calendar year. I haven't done the exact numbers yet, but I'll put them right here, right now. That much. Crazy, I know. And next year, I think one of the biggest pieces of news, maybe I'll give a small tidbit now, is that I'm looking at my computer right now. I have a playlist right in front of me of about 18 songs that I'm trying to pare down into a full-length LP record that I'm really excited to try and make and hopefully get in front of as many people as possible. So be looking for updates on that. And then, hey, if you're in Radiant Kalamazoo, or if you're in, Southwest Michigan at any time in the near future, go ahead and send me a DM or something, and let's hang out. And I would love to get the opportunity to thank you guys in person for how much we feel cared for and seen. And so thank you guys so much. A little bit of a long-winded video, but just wanted to acknowledge with gratitude and thankfulness the care from you guys this year. And then also just give a little bit of an update. Thank you so much for praying. We are touched deeply by you all, and we love you. So thank you so much. I'll talk to you guys soon. Look forward to videos in the new year. Love you guys. See ya.